Let's get one thing straight. You're not crazy and you are not broken. You're just in perimenopause. And yeah, things are definitely shifting. What used to work doesn't anymore. You're not imagining it and it's not your fault. Here's the truth no one told us. All the research out there on nutrition, on wellness, on fitness, it was done on men and applied to women. But here's the thing, we are not small men. And it's time we stop acting like all of the same rules apply. So if you're wondering why your energy's off, why your exercise doesn't hit the same, and why sleep is starting to feel like a competitive sport, this episode is your permission to stop guessing and figure out exactly what it is that you need to be doing. And this season is not about doing everything. It's about figuring out what it is you need, what works for you, and doing that, and making sure it fits into your lifestyle. I'm creating this resource for you because it's the one I wish I'd had a few years ago when I started to move into perimenopause, and I did a ton of research on what it is I needed to do, and I wanted to create something that I wish I'd had so that you have it. Be sure to grab a notebook because I'm going to give you a whole bevy of tangible tools that you can begin today. So if you're ready, let's get into it. Editing Laura here. I just wanted to share that this video got very long and I tried to keep it succinct, but it's very hard because this stuff is so interesting for me. But I did include timestamps down below so you can pop to the section that is most important to you. All right, let's get into this. Welcome to the Ignite Your Life podcast. If you are new here, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here. My name is Laura. I have been a life coach, yoga educator, and wellness advocate for over 30 years now, and I really love to support women in midlife and help you really rock it out so you enjoy this time in your life. I'm going to do two parts to this video, the Start Here series, if you will. And the first one's going to be wellness. That's what we're going to talk about in this episode. And then the next one will be on life coaching tips to help you really figure out how you can rock out your life itself beyond your wellness. But I feel like we start with wellness because that gives us the energy and helps us feel better so we have the energy to do the things we're going to talk about in the next video. So be sure you subscribe so that you don't miss that one. Now, as I already said in the intro, it's going to be a big video. I'm going to do my very best to keep it short and sweet as possible, but I also wanted to be sure I included as many of the things as I could, as many of the tips, because it's not about doing everything, okay? You really do want to pull out the pieces that will work for you. So I wanted to give you a big list so you could say, yeah, that one works for me. I'm going to do that one. That one doesn't work, but then I don't have to do it because I'm doing these other things, right? I wanted to give you all the things. So again, like I said, grab a notebook because you're probably going to write some of these things down. Let me preface this video by saying that I have been immersed, as I said, in the wellness world, if you will, for over 30 years now. In fact, at this point, I can say 40. I started when I was 15, and I have just dedicated my life to yoga, to helping people to feel better, to wellness topics. I got my master's in exercise physiology. Like, this is what I do. And when I hit perimenopause, I was so frustrated and lost because everything I learned wasn't working. And now that I know that's because everything I learned in graduate school was based on men, and men don't go through menopause, and that does change the rules a lot, that everything I learned wasn't applicable at all. And I really was frustrated, and I thought, I want to help other people not be as frustrated as I was. Now, that said, in some of the areas, and I will tell you, these are the areas where I know my education applies and go with it. Others, I'm going to share with you where to go for more information. I will give you the basics, but then I'm going to share the expert that you want to turn to get even more. So like I said, this is a really good start here place. The very first thing I want to get super clear for you is you really aren't crazy. And I literally thought I was. I thought it was like, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with my body? I am doing all the things I know to help with my sleep, my energy levels, my weight loss. I gained 20 pounds out of the blue,
poof. And I mean, I even lost all the weight from both my pregnancies. I gained 80 pounds with both of my pregnancies. No, wait, I gained 70 pounds and lost 80 with both of them. Like, just nothing extreme. I am a very basic wellness person. I will not do anything extreme. I will not do extreme calorie restriction, any of that. I just was living my life, doing all my healthy habits, and I lost all the weight. In comes perimenopause, which hit during COVID, during a particularly stressful time in my family's life as well. We had COVID going on, and then traumas going on with our children. And the weight just came, I just blew up. I felt like it happened in just a few months, although I couldn't tell you exactly because my outer life was so chaotic that I just wasn't paying attention, to be honest, with myself. But once we got past all of that, I could not lose the weight. And I was up every night for an hour, 2 hours, sometimes even 3 hours, not sleeping. I was exhausted during the day. The frustration, I know you know what I'm talking about. But again, I want to reassure you, you're not crazy. This is what happens. Things change, and there is so little research done on women in menopause. It is increasing. It is getting better. But my own gynecologist told me that in medical school, and she is about my age, so that was about 30 years ago, she took a 2-hour workshop on menopause. And during medical school, and she said, all of that information is obsolete. But that's all she learned. And she said for the first 20 years, she was an OBGYN. She was a terrible OBGYN for women in menopause because she was basing all of her information for them on that 2-hour workshop, which isn't even accurate. So things have changed a lot. So there are places you can begin. That's what we're going to go over today. Now, as we go into this, there are 3 things I want you to keep in mind. The first one is, it's not about doing everything. It's about finding what works for you and fits into your lifestyle. I am not a big proponent of doing dramatic, huge things that shift everything that you're not enjoying, that you're not going to be able to sustain. Okay, we are looking at shifts that we can make that we can stick with for the rest of our life. Don't panic. These are good things. These are things that are going to help you feel good. Number 2, this is a marathon, not a sprint. I want you to think long term. I want you to be willing to do the marathon, okay? Just know it's going to help you even more. Those quick fixes, some of the things that we're going to talk about are going to be pretty quick for you, but for the most part, quick fixes don't last. They don't stick with you. So we are going to be in it for that long haul wellness foundation. Number 3, for each of the things, think in terms of 60 to 90 days to see if it really makes a difference. Like I said, it's a marathon. Sometimes it takes a while for the body to react. And as we go through them, I can share the ones that might take longer than others. But for the most part, you want to stick with it and let your body respond. So here's the outline. I'm first going to share with you step 1. This is where everyone should begin. You can decide if that's what you want to do, but it's the one I recommend for everyone. Then step 2 is actually going to be a 5-prong process. So there are 5 different areas you want to work on. And what I want to do is share all 5 with you, and then you decide where you want to begin. Everyone's different. I was going to say, some are easier than others, but it depends on who you are and what is easier for you to tackle versus another thing. Okay. Now I will say for you, the 5th one is the easiest one in my opinion to change pretty quickly, and I'll share why that is when we get to it. So we're going to do step 1, and then for everyone, step 2, you get 5 choices, and we'll go through all 5 and all the different things that you can do for each of those areas. Okay, before we get into it, I would really love to know, what is your greatest challenge with perimenopause or menopause? If you are postmenopausal, all of these things are definitely going to apply as well. So comment below and let me know, what is your greatest challenge? Step 1, and I think this is the most important step for everybody, is to find a doctor who is actually certified in menopause. So if you go to menopause.org, you can find a list of all the doctors in your area. You can search by zip code. Find one who is actually up to date on all of the current information, who can talk to you about possibly doing some hormone therapy. Now, it is not called hormone replacement therapy anymore. If a doctor is up to date, they call it menopausal hormone therapy, because you're not actually replacing the hormones you lose, because we lose estrogen and progesterone when we're in menopause. And the loss of these hormones cause all sorts of issues in the body, okay? And they are also, especially estrogen, is a protective hormone, which means it protects you against certain cancers, cardiovascular disease, other things. You want to talk to a doctor who actually is up to date on the research to find out if it's right for you. I'm not saying it's right for you. There are some people who it's not the appropriate action for, but find out from somebody who actually knows. I didn't think I was a candidate for it because my mom and my maternal grandmother had breast cancer. So I was told that I can't use hormones because of that. But then I learned from my menopause certified doctor that because my mother and my grandmother got breast cancer after menopause, there isn't a link, a family link, a genetic link for me, and I can absolutely take hormones. And I do. The benefit of hormones is they help protect you. Again, estrogen especially is a protective hormone, but it also helps with a lot of symptoms that are plaguing you. So hot flashes, which one are uncomfortable, but two disrupt your sleep issues, energy, brain fog, all like the list goes on. One of the things that I discovered, because I did choose to do a menopausal hormonal therapy, is my body aches were significantly reduced, which is really amazing. I didn't even know, I didn't even realize I had them as much as I did until, because it was really fast. Like within a couple of hours of putting the estrogen patch on, I couldn't believe how good my body felt. It's like I didn't even really realize how bad it was. So find a doctor, talk to them about possibility of taking hormones. I also want to encourage you to follow Dr. Mary Haver-Clark. She is a board certified, menopause certified OBGYN, and she does a great job of keeping people up to date on the menopause information that's out there, anything that's new that's released. She is fantastic, and she's really kind of a fun follow too. So I will link below to her. You can find her on all social media platforms, and I will also link to menopause.org. Step 2, this is where we're going to step out into 5 different branches. So we're going to look at 5 different areas where you can begin to make changes. And I'm not going to put them in any particular order, although the first one is definitely the start here if you don't know where to begin. And like I said before, the 5th one is the easiest one to change. So you can hop in wherever it is it feels right for you. Okay, and I'm going to share lots of ideas for each of them. And I'm also going to include some of the products from my brand partner, Young Living, that have made a huge difference for me. So if you are looking for products that can help, then definitely check those out. This video is sponsored by a free product my wellness community put together called the Belly Fat Toolkit. It is a thorough dive into helping you release that belly fat. You get a workbook, and it goes along with a blog post with all sorts of videos, resources, so much good stuff. It is very, very thorough. And again, it's totally free. So the link is down below and you can grab it for yourself. Let's get back to our topic. Branch number 1, and this is where I would start if you don't know where to begin, because it's working on your sleep. And if you're like most of us at this stage, sleep has gone from being a habit to a skill, and it's a skill you just don't have anymore. Remember when sleep was easy? But here's the thing. The reason I recommend starting with sleep is because poor sleep affects everything. In fact, it affects all the other branches, right? Which we're going to get to in a little bit. Deep sleep gives us energy. It helps with brain fog. It also is the time when our body regenerates. And in fact, what they're found is deep sleep is when the brain regenerates as well. So it's really good for our brain. They think it might actually help prevent the brain issues like Alzheimer's, et cetera, at least be a piece of it, because when you're in deep sleep, the glymphatic system, which is the trash removal of the brain, is able to function. But if you're not getting deep sleep, you're not having that opportunity, right? So working on your sleep is a really good place to begin. So why does sleep become an issue? Well, there's a few reasons, and I'm just gonna lightly touch on these. I'm just working on giving you enough so this video doesn't become 4 hours long. And you can do deeper dives if you want into the research around this. The main reasons are our progesterone levels dip. Progesterone helps you relax and unwind, and our cortisol spikes. And our cortisol is our stress hormone, and it begins to really spike, which leads to belly fat, and it leads to poor sleep. This is why you wake up in the middle of the night and you are just awake. This is me. My sleep went from, I did not sleep through the night. As far as I know, I can't remember sleeping through the night for about 3 years. And then when I started working on it, I would have maybe one good night every 2 weeks. And now I have, it's usually like 2 bad nights like 1 bad night a week. So I'm doing pretty well. We're getting there, right? It's not perfect. I am ever so grateful that it is where it is. So what did I do? Well, there are a few things that you can tap into. We need to really work on relaxation. And I'm going to get into that because here is a little Easter egg here. It's the next one, and that's relaxation. So I'm going to talk about it in a little bit. But do know that because cortisol is spiking and we are more sensitive to cortisol at this stage in our life, we really need to be super intentional with relaxation, okay? We're going to cover that in a little bit. The second thing is have a solid bedtime routine. Give yourself time to unwind. You cannot run until bed and then think you're going to sleep in a restorative way. You can't use a couple glasses of wine to help yourself fall asleep. You can't take sleep aids and think you're going to fall asleep and stay asleep and get regenerative sleep. It just doesn't work that way. We have to help our bodies relax so they can sleep well. What wine does is it actually keeps your stress levels high. You might fall asleep, stay asleep, but your stress levels remain high. You're not actually getting restorative sleep. I'm not saying don't drink any wine. I love a glass of wine. It has taken me about a year to figure out how I can incorporate wine into my life and have it not affect me. And I can talk about that. I can do a whole nother video on that if you want, just let me know. The next thing I recommend is to find your best sleep hours. Okay, so often what happens is we get naturally sleepy somewhere between 9 and 10:30. Everyone's a little different. It might be a little earlier, it might be a little bit later. We push through that, and that second wind that we get is actually an adrenaline rush, which is another stress hormone, okay? And then it makes it harder to fall asleep. So start paying attention to when you are naturally sleepy at night. And I've realized for me that it starts around 9:15, and if I stay up to 10:15, I am past it. Unless I'm really well rested, maybe I had a nap during the day or something, then it might be a little bit later, but usually it's pretty early in the evening, and I'm just working really hard. My husband is very supportive, which I'm very lucky for that, in helping me make sure that I am in bed, resting, and lights out for sure by 10. It really helps me get a better night's sleep. And I've also discovered I need to wake up by 6. If I sleep in, I get kind of groggy. So that's mine. I encourage you to find your best hours. It took a while to find it, but well worth it because it helps me have so much more energy and spark, especially in the morning. So let's talk sleep aids. Now, I already mentioned that sleep aids aren't ideal, but there are some that you can tap into. Okay, so most sleep aids aren't ideal because your body actually gets addicted to them. They help your body fall asleep, so your body is essentially forgetting how to fall asleep on its own. Instead, what we want to do is find supplements that help our body relax so that it falls asleep on its own. I hope that makes sense. So progesterone will help with that if you're choosing to do menopausal hormone therapy. It's really hard to change that. The second thing is magnesium. Magnesium is a really powerful relaxation tool. I use super magnesium from my brand partner, Young Living. I love it. It makes such a difference. There are nights I forget to take it, and in the middle of the night I'll wake up and say, I forgot to take it. That's when I notice, right? Another thing I take is Deep Night Essence, also from my brand partner, Young Living. And the beauty of Deep Night Essence is it's full of essential oils that help you relax. Again, help the nervous system calm down so that you can sleep naturally. And you can put these essential oils also in the diffuser. I love diffusing essential oils while I sleep. It makes such a huge difference. And I will link below to some of my very favorite sleep oils so you can check those out. Now, just so you know, quality does make a difference with essential oils. There are tons on the market, and it's like anything, Quality makes a difference. Strawberry Jell-O is not going to have the same quality as freshly picked organic strawberries, right? You don't think they're going to have the same quality. Well, the same range occurs with essential oils. So you're not going to get the same benefits from a cheap oil. That's why I use Young Living, and that's why I love it. We're on branch number 2, which I already mentioned earlier, and this is relaxation. So as I mentioned, we get more sensitive to cortisol, and that leads to belly fat and affected sleep. It also affects our mood, so many things, and we really need to focus on learning how to relax better. Now, I've been a yoga teacher for about 35 years now, and I'm laughing because I feel a little sheepish because I didn't realize I was not relaxing. And here's the irony. I wrote my master's thesis on stress. Like, I am really a stress expert, and I wasn't doing it for myself. One of the things that I teach is that feeling stressed versus relaxed, okay, that is part of your autonomic nervous system, okay, and it's relative. Now, stick with me here. Truly, physiologically, a relaxation is when your parasympathetic nervous system is in dominance rather than your sympathetic nervous system, which is your stress response. And it is essentially like a scale, one of those balance scales, okay? Both systems are always functioning. So you have parasympathetic, you have sympathetic, both part of your autonomic nervous system. It's just two branches of that system, right? And it's whichever one is in dominance is what you're feeling, okay? And here's the thing. Parasympathetic dominance is true relaxation. That is when you are actually in relaxation. The problem is most of us live in sympathetic dominance. Most of us are stressed out 100% of the time. Not quite, but close. And what happens is, so if you imagine your stress on a scale of 1 to 10, and you're experiencing, and maybe relaxation for you, parasympathetic might be like a 3. That's when you're really physiologically relaxing, right? If you're experiencing a life experience where you're an 8, your stress is really high, maybe a 10. I mean, I went through, during COVID, I used to say on a scale of 1 to 10, I was a 12 for about 9 months, and it was. But if you're a 10 and you get down to 8, you're gonna feel relaxed, right? You're gonna say, God, this feels so much better. But you are far from physiologically relaxed. Just compared to a 10, an 8 feels a lot better. And this is where people get stuck. I have a watch. It is a Lily Garmin watch. I love it. I will link below to it. It is not an affiliate link. I tried to get an affiliate link. I've sold so many of these watches. They don't do affiliates. And the thing with this watch is it actually measures this. So I know when I'm actually in parasympathetic dominance, and I had no idea I wasn't most of the time. It was very illuminating. And I know when I'm in parasympathetic, it's like, okay, I recognize that back when, right? Like when I was doing restorative yoga or something, like I really get relaxed. It's like, God, it feels good. But I didn't realize that 8 on a scale of 1 to 10 wasn't always relaxed, even though I told people about this. Yeah, don't always practice what you preach, right? So we have to learn how to stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. This is one of the most important things that we can do at this stage in our life, and to honor it and to know that a glass of wine is not going to do it. That's actually just numbing you, okay? It's taking you from a 10, sometimes to an 11 when you have a glass of wine. You might feel relaxed, but you are not physiologically relaxed. And in fact, you are really stimulated. Vegging in front of the TV doesn't help us to relax. You might feel numb, but it's not helping you physiologically relax. You have to do things with intention to help yourself relax. So what do you need to do? Well, there are super simple things that you can do. Absolutely. Yoga really helps. Just gentle stretching, and I'm not talking power yoga, I am just talking gentle stretching, getting rid of some of that tension in the body helps you relax. Now with yoga, especially restorative yoga, is incredibly powerful because it really helps you relax and unwind. And I have some restorative yoga videos on my YouTube channel. I will link to them below. I also teach a live virtual, via Zoom, restorative yoga class every month. So I will link to my schedule down there so you can check that out for yourself. As for a quick yoga pose that you can do that's fantastic is just putting your feet up the wall. This is a super easy way to shift into relaxation. It's actually a physiological response by your body to relax. You have a baroreceptor around your carotid artery in the neck, and anytime it feels an influx of blood pressure, it wants to protect your brain, so it lowers your blood pressure, lowers your heart rate, brings you into relaxation. So as long as you don't have high blood pressure, don't have any issues with your eyes having extra pressure in them, like if you have a detached retina or something like that, you can put your feet up. And I sometimes just put my feet up on a chair, on the bed. I definitely do this one before bed though. This is something that I do every night just before I finish everything, right? It's the last thing I do, put my feet up, and then to help myself relax, and then I crawl into bed. Another thing you can do is work on your vagus nerve. Your vagus nerve stimulates the relaxation response. It is a really long nerve. I think it's the longest one in the body. It starts behind your eye, comes down through the neck, all the way down, goes through your diaphragm and into your gut. And it's really easy to stimulate. I do this all the time in my yoga classes. You can search on YouTube for videos that have vagus nerve stimulation exercises. So easy. Like 3 minutes, you can feel better. It's amazing. Breathing exercises, especially exhales, focusing on your exhale, can help you shift into the relaxation response. And of course, essential oils. Essential oils are very powerful for shifting into the relaxation response. And I already linked below to my favorite relaxation oils, the ones I talked about for sleep. So you can check those out. I definitely recommend being intentional with your relaxation at least once a day, definitely before bed. Branch number 3, just move. Start moving your body. If you already move, start moving a little bit more. You want to focus on 3 different things. The first one is zone 2 exercise. Okay, zone 2 is when you feel like you can talk but you couldn't sing. Like, you're working, but it's not really hard. It's something you could do for an hour. Well, maybe you have to work up to an hour, but you know what I mean? It's like, it's more of a fast walk, but not a speed walk. And get yourself moving, okay? Just get those steps up. Just start to move. Do yoga, stretch, do Pilates. Get your body moving. Now, the second thing you want to do is you also want to start to add in sprints. Okay, working your way up to it. And I'm not going to talk you through this. I have someone you can follow to get more information about how to do this. But the big thing you want to do to really stimulate your body, and especially if you've already been exercising, if you are a cardio nut like I was, that's what you need to let go of, because constant state cardio releases cortisol, and we have to work our way off of that cortisol, right? So instead what you want to do are sprints, not just high intensity interval training, HIIT workouts, which are more like, on a scale of perceived exertion of 1 to 10, it's like an 8, 7 or 8. You get yourself going hard, and then you give yourself a little bit of a break, and then you push again. You want to do a 10. You want to sprint. You want to push yourself hard for about 30 seconds and then recover completely. Give yourself a few minutes to, walk around and get your breath back, feel like you've recovered, and then push again. And this helps prevent the cortisol release, because we don't want that, right? And it just wakes up the body. And again, you're going to work up to it. So maybe it's, you're strolling and you do a fast walk first, or you're strolling and then you do a slow jog. You don't have to do it really fast. And I recommend that you follow Dr. Stacy Sims. She is fantastic for sharing information about this. And she has a few start here kinds of videos on her YouTube channel. I will link to her below so you can check her out and follow her and get more information on how to get started. This was a piece I was missing as an exercise physiologist. I didn't know about this. We didn't know about this 30 years ago when I was in school, right? There wasn't research done on women. It's now being done on women. Okay, but you're not going to do a ton of these sprints, like up to 5. I've worked my way up. I'm up to 4. Actually, I just started 4 today. I've been doing 3 for a long time. and I just did 4. And I'll do jumping squats, or I'll do it on my bike. I have a stationary bike, so I'll do my sprints there. The nice thing about doing jumping squats is it also helps with your bone density. So I do it with my vest on, my weight vest, which really helps. Now, I will throw in the weight vest. A lot of people you're going to see, including me, wearing it as I do my walks. It does not help bone density as of the latest that I've heard, just walking. That's what I was using it for. You actually need to have impact. So that's the jumping squats, is to give me the impact to help with my bone density. I don't know if I have an issue with my bone density. I've not had it tested, but it's one of those things that I'm just keeping an eye on, right? And making sure that I'm taking care of it as best I can ahead of time. But I still wear the vest because it does give me more, it gets my heart rate up faster. Okay, so it does give me a better workout. The third thing you need to think about with exercise is heavy weights. Heavy weights. Like, you can do 6 reps, you can't do a 7th. And I know that can be a challenging one for women to hear. Don't worry, we cannot begin to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I actually have a muscular skeleton. I have the kind of skeleton that builds muscle, and I can't do it anymore. It kind of bums me out. I wish I could. I used to be a bodybuilder back when I was in college and graduate school. You could see my muscles. I had defined muscles, and I can't seem to get that anymore. I wish I could, but that won't happen. You won't see your muscles necessarily, but you definitely want to feel them under the skin. Okay, that's going to help with your metabolism. It helps with your bone density. It helps with so many things, and we lose muscle fiber starting at, I think, our mid-30s, and you want to maintain it. You can maintain it if you're working out. So again, Dr. Stacy Sims, she will help you out with this. You start low, you're going to build yourself up. If you've never done weight training, I'm not saying go pick up the heaviest weight you possibly can and do 6 reps and you can't do 7. You will start with body weight, right? Just do a few lunges, a few squats. You go slowly. But if you've been working out a long time with those little pink dumbbells, it is time to up your weight. Okay, we are on branch number 4, and that is your diet, your nutrition, the foods that you eat. And this is one that you have got, who am I kidding? We have got to unlearn some things that we learned along the way, like fat is bad, like calories are bad, like carbs are bad. Whew. Let it go, wipe it clean. Because here's the thing, cutting calories does not work. Before I knew this, about 3 or 4 years ago, I did a restricted caloric diet. I was desperate. I've never done restricted calories. And I did 1,500 calories for 6 weeks. I gained 3 pounds. Here's the thing. Our bodies are in survival mode. We are different than men, okay? Women are here to propagate the species. If we start to restrict calories, especially at this stage in life, our bodies go, I got to hold on to calories. I got to make sure I'm storing them because we're moving into starvation. It does not work. You actually want to keep your calories, I'm going to say 1,800 to 2,000 calories a day. Everyone's a little different. I'm just throwing out a number that you can begin with if it's something that is, something you track. You just want to make sure you're getting your protein up. I mean, we're talking a lot of protein. I mean, we're talking 100 to 150 grams per day. That is a lot of protein, okay? Think 30 to 40 with every single meal, and then 20 for a snack. And you also want to be eating really healthy, well-rounded, complex carbohydrates to get your fiber up to 25 to 35 grams a day. And that is complex carbohydrates and vegetables, multicolored vegetables. That is your focus. Now, along with that, you also want to get a little bit of fats in there. So really healthy fats like your avocados, your nuts, your seeds. They are so good for you right now. This is something I have been working on. This is the big piece that I'm still working on, is getting my diet right. I still have not lost the weight that I have gained. And I'm okay with not losing all of it, but I really would feel much more comfortable in my skin if I lost a little bit of it. So I will keep you apprised on what happens, but I do know I have to get my my protein up even more, and my fiber. I have not been really good with my fiber, and that's something that I need to work on. Dr. Stacy Sims. Okay, she's got lots of suggestions for you. She is fantastic. So follow her for exercise and nutrition. And actually, Dr. Mary Havid Clark also talks about nutrition as well. So they're great for getting more information. Just know to start, you want to get your protein up, you want to get your fiber up. That's a great place to begin. All right, we are on our fifth and final branch. This is the one I think is the easiest, and that is cleaning up our home from environmental toxins. Okay, stick with me. There are really common environmental toxins that are found in our everyday household products. And I will add, here in the US. If you are in another country, I'm so excited for you and happy for you because you're protected. Most other countries are protected significantly more than we are here in the US. So we just need to be careful because these common toxins found in our cleaners, our personal care products, our soap, our shampoo, our cosmetics, these are things that have been shown to affect our endocrine system. So our hormones, they are hormone disruptors, affect our bone density. Those are the two biggies that affect us right at this stage. But they have also been linked to cancer, to asthma, to allergies, to skin irritations, to so many things. And here's why I think it's the easiest thing. All the other things we need to work on mean we have to figure out a new way to cook. We have to figure out where we're going to exercise, how we're going to exercise. We have to figure things out. We have to start new habits. You already clean your toilets. You already brush your teeth. You already wash your dishes. All you need to do is find a cleaner product, right? Like that you can do. And here is why I love my brand partners so much, because Young Living has these products, okay? They have the products that are already free from harsh toxic chemicals, but they're also infused with essential oils. So not only are they safer, they can be beneficial. So I want you to start thinking about that. The easiest thing I can recommend to change out ASAP is your household cleaner. All of them. Because these have, if they have a warning on the back, it's poison by definition. And the cleaner that I use from Young Living is the Thieves Household Cleaner, and it's a concentrate. So 1 or 2 capfuls in a spray bottle with water will last you however long it's going to last you. I mean, the bottle of cleaner lasts me about a year. So it's cheaper than any cleaner out there. It replaces all of my cleaners because I use this for my windows, my floors, my kitchen, my toilet, everything. And so it declutters. It's cheaper, save money, all sorts of good things. But there's also others, and I'll just link below. So if you want to learn more, you can. You can also contact me. I'm happy to give you a little bit more education if you want it. Finding cleaner products doesn't have to be more expensive. And it's such an easy way to help support your system in a really helpful way. And Young Living has lots of other products as well that you can tap into. So it's nice and easy one-stop shopping for lots of the safer products you can bring into your home. I definitely recommend it. It's something that I have been a part of Young Living for 12 years now. I really believe in the products. Okay, you made it this far, so let me ask, where are you going to begin? I would love to hear below. Let me know, where are you most intrigued to begin? And do you have any questions I can answer? Anything that I could do a deeper dive into that you might like to learn more around? I so hope this episode has helped you breathe a little deeper. I hope it has given you those very tangible steps that you can take to begin to feel better, because this time in life is about thriving, not surviving, and you totally can. I recommend you start small, choose 1 or 2 of the things, and really give it time to take effect. Now, there are certain things like zone 2 exercise where you're going to start feeling better after a couple of days. You probably even start sleeping better. Your energy will be better. But other things like, honestly, relaxation, that can take some time to really set the body at that more relaxing state. So give it the time it deserves, right? Give yourself that time. Now, be sure you grab the Belly Fat Toolkit if you'd like to have that. You can also join my free wellness group called the Wellness Place out on Facebook. I have a Facebook community supporting women of a certain age through the stage. And we do 1 or 2 educational topics every month and challenges and all sorts of good stuff. So you can check that out. And definitely stay tuned because the next video I'm going to be releasing is going to be Start Here on life coaching tips to help you manifest the second half of life that you really, really want. So that's coming out next. All right. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you in the next video.